Welcome, dear listener, to a gentle exploration of the scientific world. Tonight we'll drift through ideas, discoveries and wonders that have shaped our understanding of life and the universe. Whether you're lying in bed or simply letting your mind wander, I'm glad you're here. Feel free to let me know where in the world you're listening from, and what time it is there. Are we both surrounded by silence and stars, or is the sun just beginning to rise in your sky? If these quiet, thoughtful journeys into science bring you peace, I'd love for you to subscribe. There are many more discoveries waiting just beyond the horizon. Now, let's set the stage for our tale. To understand why life exists, we must travel back in time, long before you or I, before mammals and dinosaurs, before even the first multicellular creatures. Our story begins over 4 billion years ago, on a primordial Earth that would be unrecognizable to us today. Picture a barren, rocky landscape devoid of any grass, trees or signs of life. The skies are hazy orange, choked with toxic gases spewed from countless volcanoes. The oceans are a simmering chemical broth, bombarded by comets and asteroids from above. It's a hellish, alien environment hostile to life as we know it. And yet, even in this unforgiving world, the seeds of life were stirring. In the churning seas and around the belching volcanic vents, a miraculous alchemy was taking place. Simple chemical compounds, the raw ingredients of life, were beginning to combine and grow in complexity. How could something as wondrous as life emerge from mere rocks and water? For most of human history, this question seemed unanswerable, a mystery reserved for myth and religion. Even the greatest minds of antiquity were stumped by life's origins. Travel back with me to ancient Greece, the birthplace of Western philosophy. In the Agora of Athens, we might find Aristotle deep in discussion with his students, pondering the nature of the living world. Aristotle proposed that life could spontaneously generate from non-living matter. He and his contemporaries believed that mice could arise from dirty hay, maggots from rotting meat, and barnacles from driftwood. This idea of spontaneous generation held sway for centuries. It seemed to make intuitive sense. After all, life sprung up in all sorts of unexpected places, and without microscopes or modern science, there was no way to prove otherwise. Even brilliant minds like Newton and Descartes accepted spontaneous generation as fact. But as the scientific method developed, cracks began to show in this long-held belief. In the 1600s, an Italian physician named Francesco Redi started to question the conventional wisdom. Redi had noticed that maggots only appeared on meat that was left exposed, never on meat that was covered. He devised an experiment using jars of meat, some open to the air, some sealed with gauze, and some tightly covered. To the surprise of his contemporaries, Redi found that only the open jars developed maggots. The sealed jars, no matter how rotten the meat inside, remained free of life. Redi concluded that maggots must come from fly eggs laid on the meat, not from the meat itself. It was a blow to spontaneous generation, but the idea limped on. The death blow would come a century later from the meticulous experiments of Louis Pasteur. Pasteur was a French chemist and microbiologist, a man of rigorous logic and relentless experimentation. In a series of elegant studies in the 1800s, Pasteur proved once and for all that life cannot arise from non-life. Pasteur's most famous demonstration involved a special flask with a long S-shaped neck. He boiled nutrient broth in the flask, killing any existing microbes. The flask's curved neck allowed air to enter, but trapped any dust particles or microorganisms, preventing them from reaching the broth. Pasteur's flasks remained sterile indefinitely, putting the final nail in spontaneous generation's coffin. But Pasteur's triumph led to a deeper mystery. If life can only come from pre-existing life, how did the very first life form arise? For that matter, what even is life? What separates a living organism from mere chemicals and physical processes? These questions take us to the murky boundary between non-life and life, a transition that occurred here on Earth around 4 billion years ago. In the 1950s, a young graduate student named Stanley Miller attempted to recreate the conditions of the early Earth in his lab. Miller combined water, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen, gases thought to be common in the primordial atmosphere, and zapped them with simulated lightning. When Miller analysed the result, he was stunned to find that 10 to 15% of the carbon had become organic compounds, including amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. Miller's experiment suggested that the chemical precursors of life could have formed spontaneously on the early Earth. It was a tantalising clue to life's origins. In the decades since, we've developed a clearer picture of this prebiotic world and the chemistry that could have led to life. We now know that the early Earth was a chemical paradise, with a wide variety of organic compounds raining from the skies and bubbling up from hydrothermal vents. In this primordial soup, self-replicating molecules began to emerge, using the abundant raw materials to make copies of themselves. These early replicators were likely similar to RNA, a single-stranded relative of DNA that can both store information and catalyze chemical reactions. Over millions of years, these replicators became more complex and sophisticated, eventually crossing the blurry boundary into true life. The first living organisms were likely simple bacterial cells, microscopic sacs of chemicals enclosed in a membrane. These pioneering microbes had all the key traits we associate with life. They could grow by taking in nutrients from their environment. They could reproduce, passing their genetic information to daughter cells. And critically, they could evolve, with each generation introducing slight variations that could be inherited. This ability to evolve is what transformed life from a mere chemical curiosity into a world-changing force. Evolution works a bit like compound interest in the bank of time. Small advantages, compounded over countless generations, can lead to the emergence of astonishing complexity and diversity. And evolve life did, though the pace was unimaginably slow to our human perception. For billions of years, all life on Earth was microscopic, too small to see with the naked eye. These early microbes were like astronauts arriving on a new planet, learning to exploit every nook and cranny of their world. Some became experts at harnessing the sun's energy through photosynthesis, filling the atmosphere with oxygen. Others turned to consuming their microbial neighbours, pioneering the role of predator. Still others formed symbiotic partnerships that exist to this day, such as the mitochondria that power your cells, descendants of ancient bacteria that took up residence inside larger cells. As life's complexity grew, new evolutionary opportunities emerged. The most transformative was the development of multicellularity. Imagine the biological creativity required for single cells, after eons of fierce competition, to band together and form cohesive organisms. It's as if warring nations suddenly decided to merge into a single superstate. This transition occurred several times in life's history, but one lineage would give rise to all the plants, fungi, and animals we're familiar with, including us. It began with simple colonies of identical cells, but over time these colonies diversified, with individual cells taking on specialized roles. Some cells dedicated themselves to gathering nutrients, others to reproduction, still others to communication and coordination. From this division of labor emerged the first complex multicellular organisms, beings that were more than the sum of their cellular parts. The impact of multicellularity can hardly be overstated. It allowed life to explode in size and complexity, conquering new frontiers on land and sea. After over 3 billion years of microscopic life, the Cambrian explosion around 540 million years ago saw the oceans suddenly fill with an astonishing diversity of complex animals. Trilobites scuttled along the seafloor, early fish darted through the water, and strange beings like Anomalocaris, with its compound eyes and spiny feeding appendages, prowled the depths. In the space of a few tens of millions of years, a mere blink in geological time, life leapt from simple sponges to beings with skeletons, shells, eyes, and complex behaviours. From this point, the story of complex life is one of relentless innovation and colonisation. Plants evolved from green algae and made the leap to land, covering the continents in lush vegetation. Arthropods like insects and spiders followed suit, becoming the most diverse and successful animals on Earth. In the seas, fish continued to evolve, giving rise to amphibians that could venture onto land. These pioneers gave rise to the reptiles, some of which grew to massive sizes during the age of the dinosaurs. After a devastating asteroid impact wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago, mammals flourished and diversified. And here we find our own distant ancestors, small rodent-like creatures scurrying beneath the feet of giants. Over millions of years, one branch of these mammals took to the trees, evolving grasping hands, keen eyesight, and larger brains. These early primates eventually gave rise to the human lineage, setting the stage for the emergence of culture, language, and technology. So here we are, after 4 billion years of unbroken evolution, contemplating our own origins through the lens of science. It's a story that Darwin, Pasteur, and Miller could only have dreamed of. An epic spanning eons from the first stirrings of life to the rise of thinking, feeling beings like ourselves. As we trace the winding path that led to us, it's hard not to be struck by a sense of cosmic humility. We're the product of an unimaginably long sequence of chance events, a species that easily might never have been. And yet we can also feel a soaring sense of kinship with all of life on Earth. We share a common origin with every bacterium, every blade of grass, every elephant and soaring eagle. We are all leaves on the same branching tree of life, united by our common heritage. This realization comes with a responsibility to act as stewards for a world that we now know is rare and precious. In the immense darkness of the cosmos, Earth is the unlikely oasis, a pale blue dot where the universe has awakened to itself. It falls to us to preserve and cherish the living world, even as we work to unravel its deepest mysteries. For as much as we've learned about life's history, there's still so much we don't know. Could life have arisen on other worlds, following its own unique evolutionary path? Might there be alien forms of life, based on silicon instead of carbon, or flourishing in the hydrocarbon seas of a distant moon? These questions push the boundaries of science into the realm of speculation, but that's where the fun lies. By studying life's origins and evolution, we're peering into the very nature of possibility. We're exploring what it takes for matter to transcend mere physics and chemistry, and give rise to the beauty, diversity, and sheer improbability of the living world. It's a pursuit that takes us from lab benches to ancient fossils, from simmering deep sea vents to the reaches of outer space. Along the way, it reveals our own place in the unfolding story of the universe, a story in which each of us plays a starring role. So the next time you step outside, take a moment to reflect on the grand drama of life on Earth. In the scudding of clouds across the sky, in the scent of grass after a rain, in the laughter of children at play, you can catch a glimpse of the living world's long journey, from simplicity to awe-inspiring complexity. In each breath and heartbeat, you carry the legacy of billions of years of evolution, a cosmic heritage that unites us all. Our species, Homo sapiens, may just be a recent twig on the tree of life, but we're a twig with an unparalleled capacity for understanding, compassion, and wonder. So take heart in the knowledge that you are a part of something immense and ancient, a flowering of the universe's potential for beauty and complexity. The story of life reminds us that we are all connected, that we all have a role to play in the unfolding of this grand experiment called existence. As we close this chapter, I invite you to carry this sense of connection and wonder into your dreams. Let the immensity of life's story be a comfort and an inspiration, a reminder of the extraordinary potential that resides within each of us. Thank you for sharing in this journey with me. May your curiosity continue to lead you to new frontiers, both in the world and within yourself, and may the story of life continue to unfold in all its mystery and grandeur for eons to come. The story of life on Earth is indeed a grand epic, full of twists, turns, and unlikely heroes. One of the most fascinating chapters in this tale involves the rise of mammals from their humble beginnings to their current status as one of the planet's most successful and diverse groups of animals. For much of their early history, mammals were bit players on the evolutionary stage, overshadowed by the dominant reptiles. The first true mammals emerged around 200 million years ago, evolving from a group of reptiles called synapsids. These early mammals were small, nocturnal insectivores, scurrying in the shadows of the mighty dinosaurs. But they had a few key adaptations that would prove crucial to their later success. One of these was the evolution of hair. While it might seem like a trivial feature, hair provided early mammals with insulation, allowing them to maintain a constant body temperature. This innovation freed them from the constraints of being cold-blooded, letting them remain active even in cooler temperatures. Hair also helped in camouflage and sensory perception, giving mammals an edge in avoiding predators and finding prey. Another key mammalian trait was the evolution of specialized teeth. Unlike the simple conical teeth of reptiles, mammals developed a complex array of teeth adapted for different functions. Incisors for gnawing, canines for tearing flesh, and molars for grinding plant material. This dental diversity allowed mammals to exploit a wide range of food sources and ecological niches. Despite these advantageous adaptations, mammals remained relatively minor players in Earth's ecosystems for millions of years, limited by the dominance of the dinosaurs. But when a massive asteroid struck the planet 66 million years ago, triggering a global cataclysm and wiping out the dinosaurs, mammals found themselves in a profoundly changed world. In the aftermath of this extinction event, mammals had a golden opportunity to diversify and spread. They quickly evolved to fill the ecological roles left vacant by the dinosaurs, leading to an explosion of new forms and species. Within just a few million years, mammals had radiated into a bewildering variety of shapes and sizes, from tiny shrews and rodents to massive herbivores and fierce predators. One branch of the mammalian family tree, the primates, took to the trees, where they developed keen eyesight, dexterous hands, and large brains. These arboreal adaptations laid the foundation for the later emergence of humans. Other mammals ventured back into the oceans, becoming sleek swimmers like dolphins and whales. Still others took to the skies as bats, the only mammals capable of true flight. As mammals spread across the globe, they played increasingly important roles in shaping Earth's ecosystems. Large herbivores like mammoths and bison acted as keystone species, maintaining vast grasslands through their grazing. Predators like big cats and wolves helped keep populations of other animals in check, promoting ecological balance. And in more recent times, humans have emerged as the most influential mammal of all, transforming the planet through agriculture, technology, and culture. Today, mammals are found in virtually every corner of the globe, from the Arctic tundra to the scorching deserts, from the depths of the oceans to the tops of the tallest trees. They are a testament to the power of evolution to shape life in endlessly creative ways, adapting to whatever challenges and opportunities the world presents. As we marvel at the diversity and success of mammals, it's worth remembering that their story is just one thread in the much larger tapestry of life on Earth. Every species, from the mightiest mammal to the humblest microbe, is the product of billions of years of evolutionary history, shaped by the ceaseless dance of chance and necessity. And the story is far from over. Even as some mammals face threats from habitat loss, climate change, and other human-caused pressures, others are adapting to new challenges and opportunities. The evolutionary journey that began so long ago in the shadows of the dinosaurs continues to unfold, with new chapters being written every day. As we drift off to sleep, we can take comfort in the thought that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, a grand, unfolding story of life on Earth that stretches back billions of years and will continue long after we're gone. And in our dreams, perhaps we'll catch a glimpse of that ancient world, where tiny, furry creatures first set foot on the path that would lead, improbably and wonderfully, to us. Another group of organisms that play a vital, though often unsung role in the story of life on Earth are the fungi. These fascinating organisms are not quite plants and not quite animals, but occupy a unique kingdom all their own. Fungi first appeared on the evolutionary scene around 1 billion years ago, evolving from a common ancestor with animals. For much of their history, fungi were limited to aquatic environments, but around 500 million years ago they made the leap to land. This transition was a key moment in Earth's history, as fungi played a crucial role in the colonization of the continents by plants. Fungi form symbiotic relationships with the roots of plants, known as mycorrhizae. In these partnerships, the fungus helps the plant absorb water and nutrients from the soil, while the plant provides the fungus with carbohydrates produced through photosynthesis. This collaboration allowed plants to thrive in the nutrient-poor soils of early continents, paving the way for the lush forests and grasslands we know today. But the importance of fungi extends far beyond their role as plant partners. As decomposers, fungi are vital in recycling dead organic matter back into the soil, releasing nutrients that can be used by new generations of life. Without fungi, dead plants and animals would simply pile up, and the flow of nutrients through ecosystems would grind to a halt. Fungi also have a profound impact on human affairs. Some species, like mushrooms and truffles, are prized as food. Others, like yeast, are essential in the production of bread, beer, and wine. And in the realm of medicine, fungi are the source of many life-saving antibiotics, including penicillin, which revolutionized the treatment of bacterial infections in the 20th century. But fungi can also be formidable foes. Some species are pathogenic, causing diseases in plants, animals, and humans. The Irish potato famine of the 1840s, for example, was caused by a fungal blight that devastated potato crops, leading to widespread starvation. And in more recent times, the rise of fungal infections in humans, particularly among those with weakened immune systems, has become a growing public health concern. Despite their importance, fungi are often overlooked and misunderstood. They are not as charismatic as animals or as visible as plants, often living their lives hidden in the soil, inside trees, or in the dark crevices of the world. But when we take a closer look, we find a realm of astonishing diversity and beauty. There are an estimated 2.2 to 3.8 million species of fungi on Earth, most of which have yet to be described by science. They range in size from single-celled yeasts to the largest known organism on the planet, a honey fungus in Oregon that spans an area of nearly 4 square miles. Fungi also exhibit an astonishing array of forms and lifestyles. Some, like the familiar mushrooms, produce fruiting bodies to disperse their spores. Others, like the molds that grow on old bread, form vast networks of thread-like hyphae. And some, like the lichens that cling to rocks and trees, are actually composite organisms, formed by a fungus and an alga living in intimate symbiosis. As we contemplate the fascinating world of fungi, we're reminded of the incredible complexity and interconnectedness of life on Earth. From the humble partnership between a fungus and a plant root to the global cycles of decay and renewal, fungi are woven into the very fabric of our living planet. And as we drift off to sleep, perhaps we'll dream of a world unseen, a world of hidden networks and quiet partnerships, where the unassuming fungi play out their vital roles in the grand drama of life. For in the end, the story of life on Earth is not just a tale of grand triumphs and dramatic transformations, but also of the countless small unseen acts that keep the whole magnificent show running, day after day, year after year, eon after eon. From these early cellular pioneers, life continued its slow dance of evolution over billions of years. Earth became a grand stage where the unfolding drama of life could play out in all its forms, from the smallest bacterium to the most majestic whale. As life diversified, it began to transform the very planet it called home. Photosynthetic organisms pumped oxygen into the atmosphere, reshaping it into the life-giving blend we now breathe. Lichens and simple plants crept onto the barren continents, slowly greening them and paving the way for future terrestrial life. But this process was not without its challenges and setbacks. Earth's history is punctuated by mass extinctions, devastating events that wiped out a majority of species. The most famous of these, the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction around 66 million years ago, brought an abrupt end to the age of the dinosaurs. A massive asteroid impact combined with volcanic eruptions wreaked havoc on the global environment. Dust shrouded the sky, choking out the sunlight that fueled photosynthesis. Without plants, food chains collapsed. In the end, all non-avian dinosaurs and around 75% of all species were consigned to oblivion. And yet, in the wake of this destruction, life rebounded as it always has, finding new ways to adapt and flourish in the altered world. The extinction of the dinosaurs made way for the rise of mammals. These furry survivors had long lived in the shadows of their reptilian cousins. But now, they seized the evolutionary opportunity, diversifying into a bewildering array of forms to fill the ecological niches left vacant by the dinosaurs. Among these early mammals was a particularly successful order of primates known as the euprimates. They took to the trees, evolving grasping hands and feet, stereoscopic vision, and large brains to navigate their complex arboreal world. Over millions of years, they continued to adapt and specialize. Some grew in size, others in intelligence. Around 7 million years ago, a population of apes in Africa began the long, winding evolutionary path to humanity. They descended from the trees and started walking upright on two legs, freeing their hands for tool use. Their brains continued to grow, supporting increasingly complex social structures and problem-solving abilities. Fast forward to around 300,000 years ago, and the first anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, emerged in Africa. Armed with language, art and technology, these early pioneers spread across the globe, adapting to environments as diverse as the Arctic tundra and the Australian outback. The rest, as they say, is history, a history that we are still writing today. In a mere 300,000 years, a cosmic blink of an eye, our species has reshaped the planet in profound ways. We've tamed fire, built cities, and sent probes beyond our solar system. Our collective knowledge is encoded in the vast digital realm of the internet. We've even begun to tinker with the very code of life itself through genetic engineering, and yet for all our technological prowess, we are still very much a part of the grand evolutionary story that began billions of years ago. The same biochemical processes that drove the first cells drive us. We are, in a very real sense, stardust pondering the stars. As we look to the future, we can only wonder at what new chapters in life's story are yet to be written. Will we venture beyond our home planet, seeding life on other worlds? Will we create new forms of intelligent life through artificial intelligence? Or will we, like so many species before us, succumb to extinction, leaving the stage for life's next act? These are the questions that keep us gazing up at the night sky, searching for our place in the grand cosmic tapestry. For now, we can only marvel at the improbable journey that life has taken, from mere chemistry to beings capable of contemplating their own existence. It is a story of resilience, adaptation, and breathtaking creativity, written over billions of years in the language of genes. So the next time you find yourself in nature, whether it's a walk in the woods or a stroll by the ocean, take a moment to reflect on the incredible web of life that surrounds you. Every blade of grass, every bird's song, every breath you take is a testament to the tenacity and inventiveness of life on Earth. In a universe that seems so vast and impersonal, life is a rare and precious gift. It is a reminder that even in the face of great odds, complexity and beauty can emerge from simple beginnings. It is a call to cherish and protect this fragile oasis we call home. As you drift off to sleep, let your dreams be filled with visions of life's grand adventure. Imagine the first stirrings of life in the primordial soup, the great dinosaurs thundering across ancient plains, the first intrepid humans gazing up at the stars and wondering, for you too are a part of this unfolding story, a story that, for all we know, may just be beginning. The story of life's origins and evolution is indeed awe-inspiring, but to fully appreciate the unlikely miracle of our existence, we must also understand the fundamental forces and physical laws that govern our universe. At first glance, these laws might seem to have little to do with biology, but in truth, they set the stage for life's emergence and shape its possibilities. Consider gravity, the invisible glue that holds our world together. Without this force, Earth would be a chaotic jumble of rocks and gas, incapable of supporting life as we know it. Gravity's gentle tug keeps our atmosphere from dissipating into space, while also influencing the growth and form of living things. The elegant tapering of a tree trunk, the graceful arc of a leaping dolphin. These shapes are sculpted by gravity's relentless pull. Or take the electromagnetic force, which binds atoms into molecules and allows chemical reactions to occur. This force is the unsung hero of biology, enabling the intricate dance of electrons that drives photosynthesis and respiration. It's the reason why plants can harness sunlight to fuel their growth, and why animals can extract energy from the food they eat. Without electromagnetism, the complex chemistry of life would be impossible. Even the seemingly abstract realm of quantum mechanics plays a vital role in life's story. The precise arrangement of atoms in DNA's double helix, the efficient transfer of energy in photosynthesis, these processes rely on quantum effects operating at life's smallest scales. Some scientists even suggest that quantum phenomena like entanglement and superposition could explain the uncanny efficiency of biological systems. But perhaps the most profound connection between physical laws and life lies in the delicate balance of the universe's constants. The strength of gravity, the mass of an electron, the ratio of the proton to the neutron. These values are finely tuned to allow for the existence of stars, planets, and ultimately life itself. If any of these constants were even slightly different, the universe as we know it could not exist. This realization has led some to propose the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe must have the properties necessary to allow for the existence of conscious observers. In other words, the fact that we are here to observe the universe implies that it must be hospitable to life. This idea remains controversial and is still hotly debated by scientists and philosophers alike. Of course, the physical laws alone do not guarantee the emergence of life. The story of life's origins is also one of chance and contingency. If the Earth had been slightly closer or farther from the Sun, if the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs had missed its mark, if a particular species had gone extinct before it could give rise to the next, any of these chance events could have sent life's story spiralling in a different direction. In this sense, the existence of life as we know it is an improbable and precious outcome, born of the interplay between the fundamental laws of nature and the contingencies of history. It's a reminder that our world is both ruled by immutable physical principles and shaped by the unpredictable currents of chance. This realization can evoke a sense of cosmic humility. In the grand sweep of the universe's history, our existence is but a brief flicker, a tiny oasis of complexity in a vast desert of lifeless space. And yet, it is precisely this rarity that makes life so valuable and worthy of wonder. For in defiance of entropy's inexorable march, in spite of the universe's vast indifference, life has managed to carve out a niche for itself. Through billions of years of tenacious struggle and adaptation, it has etched its presence into the very fabric of reality. Every cell in your body, every thought in your mind is a testament to this improbable triumph. So the next time you contemplate your own existence, remember that you are the product of an extraordinary confluence of physical law and evolutionary ingenuity. Your presence here is the culmination of a cosmic story that stretches back to the very birth of the universe. In a sense, to study the story of life is to study the story of the cosmos itself, for the same forces that forged galaxies and set planets in motion also stirred the primordial soup of chemistry from which life first emerged. And as life has evolved and adapted over eons, it has become ever more entwined with the physical world that supports it. Today, we humans are the most vivid manifestation of this intimate connection between life and cosmos. Through the power of our minds, we have been able to glimpse the fundamental laws that undergird reality. We have traced our own origins back to the first stirrings of life on Earth and beyond, to the very atoms forged in the hearts of ancient stars. In this way, the study of life and the study of the universe are ultimately one and the same. They are both part of a grand quest to understand our place in the cosmos, to find meaning and beauty in the face of an often hostile and inscrutable universe. And though the immensity of this quest can sometimes be daunting, we can take solace in the fact that we are not alone in our search for understanding. We are joined by the countless forms of life that share our world, each a unique expression of nature's creativity and resilience. From the bacteria that first colonized the Earth, to the plants that breathe life into our atmosphere, from the animals that enliven our forests and oceans to the fungi that recycle life's building blocks, all are our kin in the great evolutionary epic of life. And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of our origins and our place in the universe, let us remember to approach this grand adventure with a sense of wonder and humility. For in the end, the story of life is not just a tale of biological processes and physical laws. It is a testament to the enduring power of nature's imagination and the indomitable spirit of discovery that burns within us all. So as we embark on this journey of understanding, let us celebrate the improbable miracle of our existence and the awe-inspiring complexity of the living world. For in doing so, we affirm our own place in the grand tapestry of life and recommit ourselves to the noble quest of unraveling its deepest mysteries. From the cosmic perspective, human history is but a brief flash in the grand epic of life on Earth. And yet, in our fleeting moment on nature's stage, we've managed to unravel life's most profound secrets. Through science, we've traced our origins back to the very dawn of time, marveling at the improbable chain of events that led to our existence. But perhaps even more remarkable than our journey of discovery is the fact that we evolved the ability to ponder such questions at all. Alone among Earth's creatures, we've developed minds capable of contemplating our own origins and place in the universe. In a cosmos of swirling galaxies and uncaring vastness, we are the universe's way of knowing itself. This gift of awareness comes with a responsibility. As the most intelligent species on the planet, we hold the future of life on Earth in our hands. Through our actions, we can nurture and protect the biosphere that sustains us, or we can imperil it through greed and short-sightedness. The choice is ours. Throughout history, there have been those who have risen to this challenge, who have dedicated their lives to expanding our understanding and appreciation of the natural world. One such luminary was Charles Darwin, the quiet Englishman whose theory of evolution by natural selection revolutionized our understanding of life's history and diversity. Born in 1809, Darwin showed an early fascination with the natural world. As a young man, he embarked on a fateful voyage aboard the HMS Beagle, serving as the ship's naturalist on a 5-year journey around the world. It was on this expedition that Darwin made his most profound observations, particularly on the Galapagos Islands. There, in that isolated archipelago, Darwin marvelled at the subtle differences between species on each island, and how they seemed exquisitely adapted to their unique environments. A keen observer and meticulous note-taker, Darwin began to suspect that these species had not been created separately, but had diverged from common ancestors through a process of gradual change. Back in England, Darwin spent years refining this insight into a robust scientific theory. He corresponded with experts around the world, accumulating evidence from fields as diverse as geology, embryology, and animal breeding. Aware of the revolutionary implications of his ideas, Darwin held back from publishing for over a decade. It was only when another naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace, independently arrived at a similar theory that Darwin was spurred into action. In 1858, Darwin and Wallace jointly presented their ideas to the Linnean Society of London. The following year, Darwin published On the Origin of Species, the book that would make him a household name and change our understanding of life forever. Darwin's central insight was that life evolves through a process he called natural selection. In any population, there is inherent variation. Some individuals might be faster, stronger, or more resilient than others. If these traits are heritable, they will be passed on to offspring. Over generations, beneficial traits will accumulate in the population, while unfavourable ones will diminish. Given enough time, this process can lead to the emergence of new species, exquisitely adapted to their environments. It's a beautifully simple idea, but one with profound implications. It means that the marvellous diversity and complexity of life need not be the product of divine creation, but can instead arise through the mechanistic process of differential survival and reproduction. It suggests that all living things, from the mightiest whale to the humblest microbe, are connected through lines of shared ancestry stretching back to the very first spark of life on Earth. Darwin himself was keenly aware of the philosophical and religious implications of his theory. Raised in a devout family, he agonized over the challenges evolution posed to traditional beliefs about the role of God in creation. Though he never entirely abandoned his faith, Darwin came to see the natural world not as the fixed masterwork of a divine craftsman, but as an ever-changing tapestry, continually reshaped by the blind force of selection. In this, Darwin forever changed humanity's conception of our place in nature. No longer could we see ourselves as the pinnacle of creation, separate and superior to the rest of the animal kingdom. Instead, we had to grapple with the fact that we too are products of evolution, shaped by the same forces that moulded the beaks of Galapagos finches and the camouflage of moth wings. This realization was deeply unsettling for many in Darwin's time. Even today, over 150 years after the publication of On the Origin of Species, the idea of evolution remains controversial in some circles. But for those who have embraced Darwin's insights, they offer a profound sense of connection to the rest of nature and an appreciation for the deep roots of our existence. Through Darwin's eyes, we can see every living creature as a masterpiece of adaptation, honed by millions of years of relentless selection. We can marvel at the intricate relationships between species, the delicate balance of ecosystems, and the never-ending dance of predator and prey. Most of all, we can stand in awe of the sheer creative power of evolution, the blind watchmaker that has shaped life in all its wondrous forms. But Darwin's legacy extends beyond just his scientific contributions. In his personal life, Darwin was a dedicated family man, a loyal friend, and a tireless advocate for the pursuit of the knowledge. His voluminous correspondence reveals a man of deep compassion, curiosity and humility, traits that endeared him to colleagues and admirers alike. Perhaps most admirable was Darwin's commitment to following the evidence wherever it led, even when it challenged his own preconceptions. In an age when many scientists were still wedded to dogma and tradition, Darwin's willingness to question established ideas was a model of intellectual honesty and rigour. It's a lesson that remains deeply relevant today as we grapple with issues like climate change, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence, which will shape the future of life on Earth in profound and unpredictable ways. Like Darwin, we must approach these challenges with open minds, letting the evidence guide us even when it leads in uncomfortable directions. As we navigate this uncertain terrain, we can take solace in the fact that we are part of an unbroken lineage stretching back billions of years, a web of life that has weathered countless upheavals and transformations. Through the eons, life has proved itself to be resilient, adaptable, and endlessly innovative. As long as we can muster a fraction of that creative spirit, there is cause for hope. So let us go forward in the spirit of Darwin, with eyes wide open to the wonders of nature, minds attuned to the subtle workings of evolution, and hearts filled with reverence for the preciousness and fragility of life on Earth. In an indifferent universe, we may be the only beings capable of cherishing and protecting the rare miracle of our existence. Let that knowledge be a spur to action and a source of purpose. For in the end, the story of life is still being written, and we are both its authors and its characters. Through our choices, we will shape the next chapter of this epic saga, for good or for ill. May we prove worthy of this awesome responsibility, and may we never cease to marvel at the improbable chain of events that brought us to this pivotal moment in life's history. The future, in all its peril and promise, beckons. Humanity has come a long way since our early primate ancestors first descended from the treetops. With our clever brains and social nature, we've spread to every corner of the globe, building vast civilizations and developing technologies that would seem like magic to our forebears. But for all our progress, one fundamental question remains as perplexing as ever. Why does life exist at all? To grapple with this profound mystery, we must journey back to the very birth of modern science itself in the 16th and 17th centuries. This was a time of great upheaval, as the old certainties of the Middle Ages gave way to a new spirit of inquiry and exploration. Daring thinkers began to question the dogmas of the past and seek new explanations for the workings of the natural world. One of the most radical of these early scientists was Giordano Bruno. Born in Italy in 1548, Bruno was a brilliant but controversial figure. He entered the Dominican order at a young age, but his questioning mind soon led him into conflict with church authorities. Bruno's chief heresy was to suggest that the universe might be infinite, containing countless stars and even other worlds like our own. For these dangerous ideas, Bruno was eventually burned at the stake in 1600, a martyr to the cause of free thought. But while Bruno paid the ultimate price, the scientific revolution he helped inspire was only just beginning. In England, a young Isaac Newton was starting to formulate his laws of motion and universal gravitation. On the continent, Dutch lens grinder Anton van Leeuwenhoek peered through his microscopes and discovered a hidden world of microorganisms. And in France, René Descartes was developing his revolutionary philosophy of mechanism, which pictured living things as complex machines rather than divinely animated spirits. These early pioneers paved the way for the great scientists of the 18th and 19th centuries, who would transform our understanding of life and its origins. One of the most important was the French biologist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. In his 1809 book Philosophie zoologique, Lamarck proposed a theory of evolution in which organisms could pass on traits acquired during their lifetimes to their offspring. While this idea of soft inheritance was later disproven, Lamarck's work helped establish the mutability of species, the idea that life forms can change over time. But it took a young English naturalist named Charles Darwin to provide a mechanism for this change. During his famous voyage on the HMS Beagle in the 1830s, Darwin made careful observations of the wildlife on the Galapagos Islands. He noticed that each island seemed to have its own unique species of finches, mockingbirds and tortoises, subtly adapted to their particular environments. Pondering this mystery, Darwin hit upon his theory of evolution by natural selection. In a nutshell, Darwin realized that all organisms produce more offspring than can survive and reproduce, and that those offspring vary in their heritable traits. In the struggle for existence, those individuals with variations that help them survive and reproduce will pass on more of their genes to future generations. Over time, this process of differential survival and reproduction can lead to large-scale evolutionary changes as beneficial traits slowly accumulate in populations. When Darwin finally published his masterpiece On the Origin of Species in 1859, it sent shockwaves through the scientific world and beyond. Many welcomed Darwin's theory as a long-awaited explanation for the diversity and complexity of life, but others reacted with horror, seeing evolution as a threat to the special status of humanity and the comforting idea of a universe designed by God. In the following decades, Darwin's ideas were hotly debated and gradually synthesized with new discoveries in genetics and paleontology. We learned that the variations that fuel natural selection arise through random mutations in DNA, and that the history of life stretches back billions of years through the fossil record. By the mid-20th century, evolution had been established as the bedrock of modern biology. And yet, as we've seen, even Darwin's theory can only take us so far in answering the ultimate question of life's origins. For evolution by natural selection to occur, there must already be living organisms capable of reproducing and passing on their genes. Evolution describes how life changes and diversifies over time, but it doesn't explain how life first began. That piece of the puzzle would have to wait until the 1920s and the birth of modern biochemistry. Scientists like Alexander Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane began to speculate that life might have emerged from simple chemical reactions on the early Earth. In 1953, Stanley Miller put these ideas to the test in his famous spark chamber experiments, showing how amino acids could form spontaneously from basic compounds like methane and ammonia. Miller's work suggested that the chemical building blocks of life could have accumulated in the primordial soup of ancient oceans. Over millions of years, these chemicals might have combined and recombined, eventually crossing the threshold into primitive life. Once the first self-replicating molecules emerged, the process of evolution could begin, leading to the staggering complexity we see today. Of course, the exact details of life's origins are still uncertain. Did the first proto-life forms develop in shallow pools, around deep-sea hydrothermal vents, or perhaps in clay minerals that could have concentrated and catalyzed key chemical reactions? What was the nature of the first self-replicators? Were they based on RNA or some other now extinct variety of biomolecule? These are active areas of research as scientists try to fill in the remaining gaps in the story of life. But even as these final puzzle pieces fall into place, a deeper sense of mystery remains. For life to begin at all, even in some ancient chemical Eden, the basic laws of physics and chemistry had to be almost incomprehensibly fine-tuned. If gravity was slightly stronger, the universe might have collapsed back on itself before life had a chance to emerge. If the strong nuclear force were a tad weaker, atoms more complex than hydrogen could never have formed in the hearts of stars. Contemplating these cosmic coincidences, some have seen evidence for a grand designer, a creator god who set the stage for life's emergence. Others suspect that our universe might be just one of countless parallel worlds, each with its own unique physical laws, in which case, it's only natural that we find ourselves in one of the rare universes where complex life is possible. Or perhaps there is some deeper necessity built into the fabric of reality, some reason why a life-bearing cosmos is the only kind there could be. We may never know for certain which of these philosophies, if any, captures the full truth of our improbable existence. Science has made tremendous strides in illuminating life's long journey from primordial soup to spacefaring civilization, but the deepest questions still lie beyond the reach of test tubes and telescopes. In the end, the fact that we can even ask why we're here may be the most remarkable thing of all. So the next time you find yourself swaying between a sense of cosmic insignificance and utter astonishment at the unlikeliness of it all, take heart. We are the universe's way of knowing itself, as Carl Sagan once said, stardust contemplating the stars. And even if we never fully solve the riddle of our existence, we can still marvel at the sheer wonder of it all, from the subatomic dance of quarks to the majestic whirl of galaxies. In that sense, perhaps the best answer to why life is simply because we can, because the universe allows it, because something rather than nothing is possible. In the grand cosmic lottery, our ticket came up a winner against stupefying odds. And now it's up to us to make the most of this strange, wonderful, one-in-a-everything chance we've been given, to explore, to question, to love and laugh and weep and rage against the dying of the light, because even if life is ultimately meaningless, it is no less magnificent or worthy of our awe. So as you drift off to sleep, let your mind wander through the twisting paths of evolution and the echoing halls of deep time. Dream of alien worlds and alternate universes, of countless possible realities that will never be, and know that here, in this brief flickering moment, on this pale blue dot we call home, the universe has awoken to itself in fleeting but glorious consciousness. And that, perhaps, is the only why we'll ever need. As we've seen, the story of life on Earth is one of resilience, adaptation, and endless experimentation. But to truly appreciate the unlikelihood of our existence, we must zoom out to the cosmic scale. Our universe began some 13.8 billion years ago in a tremendous expansion known as the Big Bang. In the early eons after this event, the cosmos was a formless sea of subatomic particles. As the universe expanded and cooled, these particles began to coalesce into the first simple atoms, mostly hydrogen and helium. For hundreds of millions of years, the universe was a vast, dark expanse, punctuated only by clouds of these primordial gases. But within these clouds, a slow dance of cosmic chemistry was underway. Under the influence of gravity, pockets of gas grew denser and hotter until, suddenly, nuclear fusion ignited at their cores. The first stars were born, casting their light into the void. These early stars were cosmic alchemists, fusing hydrogen and helium into heavier elements in their searing hearts. When these giants exhausted their fuel and died in spectacular supernovae explosions, they scattered their elemental riches into space. Subsequent generations of stars and planets were built from the ashes of their ancestors. Our own solar system formed from one such recycled stellar nursery some 4.6 billion years ago. At its heart, our young sun blazed to life, while the spinning disk of gas and dust around it slowly accreted into planets. Earth, third from the sun, was a molten ball of rock bombarded by cosmic debris. As the planet cooled, its surface solidified into a crust and volcanoes belched gases to form the first atmosphere. Comets and asteroids, laden with ice, seeded the young planet with water, filling the basins that would become our oceans. Somewhere in this primordial broth, a fateful set of chemical reactions crossed the threshold into life. We may never know the exact details of this momentous transition. Perhaps it occurred in the depths of the ocean, at a hydrothermal vent where mineral-rich water spewed from the planet's interior. Or maybe it happened in a shallow sunlit pool where organic compounds were concentrated and energized by cycles of wetting and drying. Whichever the case, once life took hold, it transformed our planet in ways that would have been unimaginable to its inanimate predecessors. Over billions of years, life molded the Earth as much as the Earth molded life. Photosynthetic organisms pumped oxygen into the atmosphere, creating the air we now breathe. Plants colonized the land, softening rock into soil and setting the stage for terrestrial ecosystems. Microscopic ocean dwellers built their calcium carbonate shells, which settled to the seafloor to form thick layers of limestone. Each of these transformations opened new frontiers for life to explore and adapt to. Every environmental niche, from the highest mountain peaks to the deepest ocean trenches, became an opportunity for life's creativity. The result is the breathtaking diversity we see today, from towering redwoods to darting hummingbirds, to bizarre deep-sea creatures that seem to defy imagination. And among this grand tapestry of life, we find ourselves, a peculiar primate with an outsized impact on the planet. In just a few 100,000 years, a mere eye blink in geological time, humans have emerged as a dominant force in Earth's story. Our unique capacity for abstract thought, language, and technology has allowed us to shape our environment like no species before. We've cleared forests, dammed rivers, and even altered the composition of the atmosphere. Our actions are now the primary driver of change on a planetary scale, for better or for worse. As we grapple with this awesome responsibility, it's humbling to remember our place in the grand arc of a life's history. We are the product of billions of years of evolutionary trial and error, a twig on a branch of the sprawling tree of life. Every cell in our bodies is a microcosm of this history, bearing the molecular echoes of ancient bacterial ancestors. The oxygen we breathe is the legacy of countless photosynthesizers, while the limestone beneath our feet is the relic of primordial sea creatures. We are not separate from nature, but woven from its very threads. So the question of why life exists is, in a sense, a question of why we exist, and the answer lies in the improbable, yet inevitable unfolding of cosmic history. From the Big Bang to the formation of stars and planets to the chemical dance that sparked life on Earth, each step set the stage for the next. Of course, much remains unknown in our scientific understanding of life's origins and evolution. But with each new discovery, we add another brushstroke to the epic canvas of life's story. We are the universe made conscious, able to reflect on its own existence. Perhaps our ultimate purpose is simply to bear witness to this grand cosmic unfolding and to safeguard and cherish the rare and precious phenomenon of life in all its forms. For in a vast and seemingly indifferent universe, life is a flame worth tending, a miracle that, against all odds, shines brightly on this pale blue dot we call home, and so, as we lay our heads down to sleep, we can rest in the knowledge that we are part of something immense and ancient, a cosmic story still being written. In our dreams, we might imagine the first fragile stirrings of life in some primordial pond, or the alien vistas of undiscovered worlds that may harbour their own biospheres. Sleep well, for tomorrow we continue the great work of understanding and protecting the living world, our enduring legacy in an ever-unfolding universe. As the poet Walt Whitman once wrote, "Every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I am large, I contain multitudes. In the grand tapestry of life, each of us is a single thread, but together we weave a story of resilience, beauty, and endless possibility." As we marvel at life's epic journey, it's worth noting that this story is far from finished. Even now, evolution continues its patient work, shaping life in subtle ways from generation to generation. We tend to think of evolution as something that happened in the distant past, but in reality, it's an ongoing process that affects every living thing, including ourselves. Take the humble fruit fly, for instance. These tiny insects have been the subjects of countless genetic experiments, thanks to their short lifespans and rapid reproduction rates. Over the decades, scientists have observed fruit flies adapting to all sorts of environmental pressures in real time. Some have evolved resistance to pesticides, while others have adapted to thrive in extreme temperatures. These changes can happen astonishingly quickly in evolutionary terms, sometimes in just a few dozen generations. But what about more complex creatures like mammals or birds? Surely they evolve more slowly, right? While it's true that noticeable changes tend to take longer in animals with slower reproduction rates, evolution is still very much at work. A famous example is the peppered moth in England during the Industrial Revolution. As soot from factories darkened tree bark, darker-coloured moths started to outcompete their lighter cousins, as they were better camouflaged against hungry birds. When pollution was later reduced, the lighter moths bounced back. This rapid adaptation was observable within a human lifetime. Even our own species is not exempt from evolution's steady march. Though modern medicine and technology have shielded us from some of the pressures our ancestors faced, we are still evolving in subtle ways. For example, studies suggest that human brains have actually shrunk slightly since the end of the last ice age. One theory is that as societies became more complex and cooperative, there was less pressure on individuals to be hyper-intelligent to survive. Of course, brain size doesn't directly correlate with intelligence, but it's fascinating to consider how our changing lifestyles might be influencing our biology. Looking ahead, it's impossible to predict exactly how life will continue to evolve. Will we develop new technologies that further insulate us from natural selection? Or will changing environmental conditions spur rapid adaptations? One thing is certain, as long as life endures, it will keep evolving. Whether we recognize it or not, we are all active participants in an eons-old evolutionary story. So the next time you swat a fruit fly or marvel at a moth's camouflage, take a moment to appreciate these small glimpses of evolution in action. They are reminders that the story of life is still being written, one tiny genetic change at a time. We are not just products of evolution, but its ongoing participants and witnesses. And as we zoom out to consider life's cosmic context, we're reminded of just how remarkable our evolutionary journey has been. As far as we know, Earth is the only planet where this grand experiment has unfolded. When you consider the myriad contingencies and challenges life has overcome to arrive at this moment, it's hard not to feel a sense of awe and responsibility. We are the inheritors of a 4 billion year legacy, the latest chapter in a story that began with simple microbes and has blossomed into the vibrant biosphere we know today. As self-aware beings, we have the unique ability to appreciate and safeguard this heritage. In a very real sense, we are the universe's way of marveling at itself. So whether you're a scientist peering through a microscope or simply a curious soul gazing at the stars, remember that you are part of something ancient and vast. Every cell in your body is a direct descendant of those first pioneering microbes, a living link to the very dawn of life. And as long as we carry forward this legacy with reverence and curiosity, the story of life will continue to unfold in wondrous and unexpected ways. Of course, our evolutionary story is not without its dark chapters and plot twists. Mass extinctions have punctuated life's history, serving as stark reminders of the contingencies of survival. The most famous of these is the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction 66 million years ago, which spelled doom for the dinosaurs and countless other species. The culprit, as far as we can tell, was a massive asteroid impact off the coast of modern-day Mexico. The collision unleashed a global cataclysm, searing heat, towering tsunamis, and a suffocating shroud of dust that blotted out the sun. In the aftermath, an estimated 75% of all species was snuffed out, forever altering the course of evolution. But as devastating as this event was, it also opened up new evolutionary opportunities. With the dinosaurs out of the picture, our mammalian ancestors flourished, diversifying into a stunning array of forms. Primates in particular took advantage of the newly available niches, setting the stage for the eventual rise of our own species. It's a sobering reminder that evolution is not a straight line of progress, but a branching tree shaped by countless contingencies. The survival of any given species is never guaranteed. It's always at the mercy of changing environmental conditions and the luck of the genetic draw. And today we find ourselves in the midst of another great extinction event, one largely of our own making. As human activities reshape the planet at an unprecedented scale, countless species are winking out, their evolutionary stories cut short. It's a heavy responsibility to bear, knowing that our choices will reverberate through the biosphere for millions of years to come. But perhaps this knowledge can also be a source of empowerment and hope. Just as the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction paved the way for the rise of mammals, perhaps our current moment of crisis can be an opportunity for a new chapter in life's story. By making conscious choices to steward the biosphere and safeguard biodiversity, we can help ensure that evolution's grand experiment continues. In the end, the story of life is one of resilience, creativity, and endless reinvention. From the first stirrings of self-replication in the primordial soup to the astonishing diversity of the modern world, life has proven itself to be a tenacious and inventive force, and as long as Earth remains habitable, this story is far from over. Who knows what new forms and wonders evolution may yet bring forth? Perhaps our distant descendants will look back on this moment as a crucial turning point, a time when we took up the mantle of planetary stewardship and helped steer life towards a thriving future. As we drift off to sleep, let us dream of that future, a world where the story of life continues to unfold in all its messy, marvellous glory. May we be worthy heirs to this incredible evolutionary legacy, and may we pass it on to the generations to come with wisdom and care. And so, as the night wraps us in its gentle embrace, we can rest easy knowing that we are part of something immense and enduring. The story of life is the story of us all, written in every cell and every breath. And as long as we cherish and protect this living legacy, it will continue to shine as a beacon of hope and wonder in an ever-changing universe. As we contemplate the grand story of life on Earth, it's worth zooming in on some of the key figures whose brilliant minds and tireless work uncovered the pieces of this incredible puzzle. One such luminary was Charles Darwin, the father of evolutionary theory. Born in 1809 to a wealthy English family, Darwin initially set out to become a clergyman. But a fateful voyage around the world on the HMS Beagle ignited his passion for natural history. As the ship's resident naturalist, Darwin marvelled at the diversity of life he encountered, from the lush jungles of Brazil to the stark beauty of Patagonia. But it was on the Galapagos Islands where he made his most famous observations. There, he noted how finches differed slightly from island to island, their beaks adapted to the unique food sources on each isle. These observations planted the seeds of a revolutionary idea in Darwin's mind. What if these differences arose because the finches that were best suited to their environment survived and passed on their traits to their offspring? And what if, over vast spans of time, this process of natural selection could give rise to entirely new species? Darwin spent years refining this theory, painstakingly gathering evidence from fossils, animal breeding records, and comparative anatomy. He knew his ideas would be controversial, overthrowing the traditional belief that species were unchanging creations of God. In fact, Darwin held off publishing for over 2 decades, working to build an irrefutable case. It wasn't until another young naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace, independently came up with the theory of natural selection that Darwin was spurred into action. In 1858, the two men jointly presented their ideas to the Linnean Society of London. A year later, Darwin published his masterpiece, On the Origin of Species. The book was an instant sensation, igniting fierce debates in Victorian society. Many were scandalized by the notion that humans shared a common ancestor with apes. But for the scientific community, Darwin's meticulous observations and compelling logic were impossible to ignore. His ideas soon became the unifying framework for understanding the diversity of life. Darwin's theory also raised unsettling philosophical questions. If life was the product of undirected natural processes, what did that mean for human purpose and morality? Grappling with these implications, Darwin himself fell into bouts of anguish and ill health, but he never regented his commitment to the pursuit of truth through science. In the decades after his death, Darwin's ideas would be refined and strengthened by new evidence, from genetics to paleontology. Today, evolution stands as one of the most robust and well-supported theories in all of science, the foundation of modern biology. But Darwin was hardly the first to question the traditional view of life as unchanging and divinely created. The ancient Greek philosopher Anaximander proposed that life began in the sea, with fish-like creatures eventually venturing onto land. And in the 18th century, Darwin's own grandfather Erasmus Darwin wrote poetry, envisioning life evolving over eons. These early evolutionary musings, however, were largely speculative, lacking the concrete evidence that Charles Darwin so painstakingly gathered. It took Darwin's meticulous data-driven approach to transform an interesting idea into a robust scientific theory. Darwin's story reminds us that even the most revolutionary scientific breakthroughs rarely emerge from a single eureka moment. More often, they're the fruit of years of dogged work, careful observation, and a willingness to follow the evidence wherever it leads, even if it means upending long-held beliefs. And Darwin's intellectual courage paved the way for generations of scientists who continue to probe the mysteries of life's origins and evolution. In the century and a half since On the Origin of Species, we've traced life's roots to those primordial microbes, deciphered the molecular code of DNA, and unveiled evolution's intricate mechanisms, from gene drift to punctuated equilibrium. But in a sense, Darwin's work will never be finished. Each new discovery raises fresh questions, new frontiers to explore. The story of life, in all its teeming complexity, is still being written. And what a story it is! A ceaseless odyssey of transformation, adaptation, and breathtaking creativity. From those first self-replicating molecules to the astonishing panoply of creatures that have since graced our planet, life's journey has been an epic of unimaginable scope. When we trace our own lineage back through the eons, we find our kin among the humblest creatures: bacteria, worms, fish. In light of evolution, all life is revealed as our extended family. The same fundamental processes that sculpted the cell walls of algae and the wings of the hummingbird also shaped our own minds and bodies. So Darwin's legacy isn't just a scientific theory, however powerful and far-reaching. It's a profound shift in perspective, a way of seeing ourselves not as separate from nature, but as deeply woven into its fabric. It's a reminder that for all our technological marvels and cultural sophistication, we are still products of the same evolutionary forces that have moulded all life on Earth. In the grand arc of life's history, our own story is but a brief chapter, but what a remarkable chapter it is. Through the power of our evolved intellect, we've unlocked the secrets of the atom, walked on the moon, and mapped the human genome. We've created art and music and literature that move the soul, and perhaps most astonishingly, we've pieced together the story of our own improbable origins, tracing the threads that connect us to the tapestry of life. In coming to understand the depths of our kinship with all living things, we've grasped something profound about our place in the cosmos. Life, we now know, is not some cosmic fluke, but an intrinsic potential of matter itself. Given the right conditions and enough time, simple chemicals can give rise to staggering complexity and beauty. The universe, it seems, is not just hospitable to life, but in some sense pregnant with it. And if life could take root on our once barren rock, who's to say it hasn't blossomed on countless other worlds? With each passing year, we discover more planets orbiting distant stars, many of them in the so-called habitable zone, where liquid water and perhaps life could exist. It's a tantalizing prospect. Are we alone in the universe, or are we part of a cosmic ecosystem teeming with alien biospheres? Are there other beings out there, perhaps vastly different from us in form and intelligence, but shaped by the same evolutionary forces? These are questions that may take generations, even centuries, to answer. But as we ponder these cosmic quandaries, we can draw inspiration from the incredible story of life on our own planet. For all the chaos and upheaval of Earth's history, the asteroid impacts, the ice ages, the mass extinctions, life has endured, even flourished. Time and again, living things have displayed a breathtaking capacity for resilience, adaptability, and innovation. From the extremophile bacteria that thrive in boiling deep-sea vents to the majestic whales that roam the oceans, life has found a way to exploit nearly every niche on Earth. And in the face of the greatest challenges, life has responded with some of its most astonishing creations. The dinosaurs' demise made way for the rise of mammals and eventually the ascent of human intelligence. Mass extinctions, while devastating, have also accelerated evolution. The survivors radiated into newly emptied niches. In this light, we can see life not just as a passive victim of Earth's upheavals, but as a creative, dynamic force in its own right. A force that not only adapts to change, but often drives it. The oxygen we breathe, the soils that nourish our crops, the very composition of our atmosphere, all have been profoundly shaped by the activities of living things over billions of years. So as we grapple with the many crises facing our world today, climate change, habitat loss, the sixth mass extinction, we can draw hope and inspiration from life's astounding resilience. The same evolutionary creativity that turned dinosaurs into birds and sea creatures into land dwellers is still at work in the world around us. With every new generation, life is experimenting, innovating, seeking out new ways to survive and thrive. Even in the most dire circumstances, life finds a way, and as the most intelligent creatures to emerge from this grand evolutionary journey, we have a special responsibility to shepherd and protect the living world that sustains us. Of course, our evolved brains are also capable of great short-sightedness and destruction. The same ingenuity that cured diseases and sent spacecraft to distant worlds has also given us nuclear weapons and the capacity to unravel delicate ecological webs. But if the story of life teaches us anything, it's that cooperation, symbiosis, and mutual flourishing are as much a part of nature's repertoire as competition and conquest. From the mitochondria that power our cells to the pollinators that nourish our crops, the living world is a vast web of interdependence. As we look to the future, we must learn to see ourselves not as separate from this web, but as integral to it. We must learn to wield our unprecedented power with wisdom and restraint, to become responsible stewards of the living world that made us. In doing so, we'll be carrying forward the great evolutionary project that began so long ago in those primordial seas. We'll be adding our own verse to the epic poem of life on Earth, a poem whose final stanzas are yet to be written. So let us go forth with a sense of wonder and responsibility, a commitment to nurture and sustain the living world in all its glorious diversity. For we are not just witnesses to life's story, but co-authors of its next great chapter. In the end, the question of why life exists at all may forever elude a fully satisfying answer. The sheer improbability of our existence, the vast chain of contingencies that had to align just so for us to be here, can leave us dizzy with existential vertigo. But perhaps the deeper wisdom lies in savouring the mystery, in embracing the grandeur and improbability of it all. For all our scientific insight, life remains a profound and awesome enigma, a gift beyond measure, a story whose telling defies belief. To be alive, to be conscious and curious, to seek to understand our place in the grand cosmic unfolding, this is the great privilege of our species. May we never lose our sense of wonder at the sheer miracle of it all. And so, as we drift off to sleep, let us dream of the countless forms that life has taken, and the countless more it may yet take, on this world, and perhaps on others. Let us dream of the untold chapters yet to be written in the grand evolutionary epic, and let us wake with a renewed sense of kinship with all living things, a renewed commitment to cherish and protect the fragile, beautiful world that made us. For in the end, the story of life is our story, and it's a story still unfolding in all its improbable, wondrous glory. Our understanding of life's origins took another great leap forward in the 1980s with the discovery of hydrothermal vents on the deep ocean floor. These underwater geysers spew superheated, mineral-rich water from cracks in the Earth's crust. To the surprise of scientists, these extreme environments teem with bizarre life forms, from giant tube worms to eyeless shrimp. These deep-sea oases hinted at how life might have begun, not in a primordial soup, but in the depths of the ancient ocean. The theory goes that simple organic compounds spewed from these vents and energized by the Earth's heat could have gradually assembled into self-replicating molecules. These proto-life forms may have clung to mineral surfaces around the vents, using them as primitive catalysts to drive the first biochemical reactions. Over time, these early replicators would have become more complex and independent, eventually breaking free from their hydrothermal cradles to colonize the wider oceans. From these humble beginnings, life embarked on a billions-years-long evolutionary journey that would reshape the planet. One of the key innovations in this journey was the development of photosynthesis. This biochemical marvel allowed early microbes to harness the sun's energy to fuel their growth. By combining water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight, these pioneering organisms could create organic matter out of inorganic components. In doing so, they provided a food source for other life forms and began to pump oxygen into the atmosphere. Over billions of years, photosynthesis transformed Earth's environment. The growing abundance of oxygen allowed for more complex life forms to evolve, including multicellular plants and animals. The oxygen these photosynthesizers produced also formed the ozone layer, a protective shield against the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. This gaseous umbrella allowed life to eventually colonize the land. But life's journey was not a straight line. The Earth has witnessed several mass extinction events that wiped out a majority of species. The most infamous of these was the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, 66 million years ago, which spelled the end of the dinosaurs. A massive asteroid impact coupled with intense volcanic activity dramatically altered the climate and caused ecosystems to collapse. Yet life rebounded, as it always has. The demise of the dinosaurs paved the way for mammals to diversify and thrive. From small rodent-like creatures, an astonishing array of forms emerged, from massive whales to minuscule bats. Among these mammals were the primates, the group that would eventually give rise to our own species. The story of human evolution is a fascinating chapter in life's grand saga. Our earliest ancestors were small, tree-dwelling creatures that scampered through the forests of ancient Africa. Over millions of years, a series of evolutionary pressures, from changing climates to shifting food sources, sculpted these creatures into upright, large-brained beings. Key milestones in this journey include the development of bipedalism, walking on two legs, which freed our ancestors' hands for tool use. The growth of our brains, particularly the neocortex responsible for higher thinking, allowed for complex problem-solving and social bonds. The mastery of fire provided a source of warmth, protection, and cooked food, fueling further brain development. But perhaps the most significant development was the emergence of language. The ability to communicate complex ideas allowed for unprecedented cooperation and cultural transmission. Knowledge could be passed down through generations, allowing each successive one to build on the achievements of their predecessors. This cumulative cultural evolution is what sets humans apart from all other species. Today, we stand as the inheritors of this rich evolutionary legacy. Our species has spread to every corner of the globe, transforming landscapes and ecosystems in our wake. We've unlocked the secrets of the atom, revealing the fundamental building blocks of matter. We've launched spacecraft beyond our solar system, extending our senses to the far reaches of the cosmos. And we've developed technologies that are beginning to manipulate life itself, from genetic engineering to artificial intelligence. Yet for all our achievements, we remain deeply connected to the rest of life on Earth. We share a common ancestry with every living thing, from the mightiest redwood to the tiniest microbe. Our bodies are living records of this shared history, with vestiges of our evolutionary past etched into our very cells. As we look to the future, we must reckon with the profound impact we're having on the planet. Human activities are altering the climate, driving species to extinction and transforming entire ecosystems. In many ways, we've become a geological force, ushering in a new epoch some scientists call the Anthropocene, the age of humans. But we also have the power to be stewards of life's future. By understanding our place in the grand tapestry of life, we can work to protect and nurture the incredible biodiversity that shares our planet. We can seek ways to live sustainably, in harmony with the natural world that sustains us. And we can continue to explore the mysteries of life's origins and evolution, marveling at the improbable journey that led to our own existence. In the end, the story of life is still being written. We are but a single thread in an immense, ever-evolving web that stretches back billions of years. What the future holds for life on Earth and beyond is uncertain. Will we find evidence of life on other worlds, perhaps in the subterranean oceans of Europa or the methane seas of Titan? Will we develop technologies that blur the line between natural and artificial life? Will we learn to extend our own lifespans or even transcend our biological limits? These are the questions that will define the next chapters of life's epic saga. But whatever twists and turns lie ahead, one thing is certain: life's capacity for innovation and adaptation is unparalleled. From the humblest origins, it has given rise to a staggering array of forms and possibilities. It has endured global catastrophes and thrived in the harshest environments. It has woven itself into the very fabric of our planet, creating the conditions for its own flourishing. And now in us life has developed the ability to contemplate its own existence. We are the universe made conscious, able to trace our origins back to the Big Bang and ponder our place in the cosmic order. This self-awareness comes with a responsibility to be caretakers of the precious, improbable gift of life on Earth. So the next time you step outside, take a moment to marvel at the living world around you. From the intricate dance of pollination to the silent, ancient communication of forest fungi, life is all around us in forms more wondrous than we can imagine. Each creature, each blade of grass, each microbe underfoot is a testament to life's resilience and creativity. And as you drift off to sleep, let your mind wander through the eons, from those first stirrings in the primordial depths to the astonishing diversity of the present day. Dream of the countless forms life may yet take, on this world and perhaps others, and rest easy in the knowledge that you too are part of this grand unfolding story, a living legacy of a cosmos that, against all odds, has awakened to itself. As we marvel at the epic story of life on Earth, it's worth reflecting on the remarkable individuals who helped unravel its mysteries. One such pioneer was Charles Darwin, the brilliant naturalist who forever changed our understanding of the living world. Born in 1809 to a wealthy English family, young Charles was an unremarkable student, preferring to spend his days exploring the outdoors and collecting specimens. This passion for nature would serve him well in his destined career. At age 22, Darwin embarked on the adventure of a lifetime as the resident naturalist aboard the HMS Beagle. Over the next 5 years, he traversed the globe, meticulously documenting the dizzying diversity of life he encountered. From the lush jungles of Brazil to the stark beauty of Patagonia, Darwin filled notebook after notebook with keen observations and budding theories. It was on the Galapagos Islands that Darwin had his most profound insights. This remote archipelago was home to a quirky cast of creatures, each subtly adapted to its island environment. The iconic Galapagos finches in particular displayed a remarkable variety of beak shapes, each tailored to exploiting different food sources. Reflecting on these observations, Darwin intuited that species were not fixed and immutable, as was commonly believed. Rather, they were the product of gradual change over immense timescales, shaped by the relentless forge of environmental pressures. Those individuals best adapted to their environment were more likely to survive and pass on their advantageous traits to the next generation, a process Darwin termed natural selection. Returning to England, Darwin spent years painstakingly assembling evidence for his groundbreaking theory. He corresponded with experts worldwide, pored over breeding records, and conducted experiments in his own backyard. Yet he hesitated to publish, aware of the revolutionary implications of his ideas. It was only when another naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace, independently conceived of natural selection that Darwin was spurred into action. In 1859, he finally unveiled his masterpiece, On the Origin of Species, to an unsuspecting world. The book was an instant sensation, sparking fierce debate from the halls of academia to the pews of churches. Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection provided an elegant framework for understanding life's diversity and adaptability. It revealed that all living things, from the mightiest mammal to the humblest microbe, were connected through common descent in one great tree of life. Darwin's ideas also had profound philosophical implications, displacing humans from our self-appointed pedestal above nature. We too were the products of evolution, shaped by the same forces that moulded the beaks of finches and the wings of butterflies. It was a humbling realization, but also an ennobling one. We were part of something greater, woven into the very fabric of the living world. In the years following the publication of Origin, Darwin continued to refine and expand his theory, authoring important works on topics ranging from orchids to earthworms. Though he suffered from chronic ill health, Darwin's brilliant mind and gentle spirit never wavered. He passed away in 1882, having forever changed the course of scientific thought. Today, Darwin's legacy surrounds us. The evolutionary perspective has become the unifying theme of biology, shedding light on everything from antibiotic resistance to human origins. Yet for all the explanatory power of evolution, it also reminds us how much we have yet to learn. Every new fossil discovered, every DNA sequence analysed, adds to the ever-unfolding story of life. We now know that the history of life extends far beyond the multicellular organisms Darwin was familiar with. The true diversity of life is microbial, with single-celled organisms comprising the vast majority of Earth's biomass and genetic diversity. We've also come to appreciate the vital role of cooperation in life's history, from the ancient symbiosis that gave rise to eukaryotic cells to the complex interplay of species and ecosystems. Life is a web of interactions. Evolution isn't just about competition, but also the creative power of collaboration. Perhaps most excitingly, we're beginning to extend the search for life beyond Earth. With each new exoplanet discovered and each robotic probe launched, we inch closer to answering that profound question: are we alone in the universe? The story of life, as we now understand it, suggests that the potential for life is woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. The same chemical elements and physical laws that gave rise to life on Earth are present throughout the universe. As we continue to explore, we may well find that Darwin's tangled bank extends to alien shores. But even if we are alone, that only makes the story of a life on Earth all the more precious. We are the improbable products of 4 billion years of evolution, the living legacy of countless ancestral struggles and triumphs. In us, the universe has become aware of itself, able to contemplate its own existence. That is the ultimate wonder of life, the revelation that even the simplest cell is a universe in miniature, as worthy of awe as any star-swept galaxy. And we, for all our flaws and foibles, are life's most remarkable creation, the only beings capable of understanding and appreciating the grand epic of which we are a part. So let us celebrate the story of life in all its grandeur and improbability. Let us marvel at the tenacity of bacteria and the intricacy of flowers, the cunning of predators and the grace of birds in flight. For in doing so, we celebrate our own place in the great unfolding tale of evolution. And let us honour the legacy of those like Darwin who dedicated their lives to unravelling life's mysteries. Through their curiosity, courage and diligence, they have given us the greatest gift of all, a glimpse into the workings of life itself. In the end, perhaps that is the true meaning of life, not some cosmic plan or divine decree, but the never-ending quest to understand, to explore, to grow in wisdom and in wonder. We are the universe's way of knowing itself, the emissaries of an evolutionary saga 4 billion years in the making. May we prove worthy of that cosmic trust. For now, as the night deepens and sleep beckons, let your mind drift through the eons, from those first stirrings in the primordial soup to the marvels of the living world we know today. And as you do, take comfort in your kinship with all living things, your place in the grand story of life on Earth. Good night, and sweet dreams of a universe alive with possibility. From the cosmic perspective, life is a tiny blip in the grand saga of the universe. And yet, to us, life is everything. It's the lens through which we experience the world, the driving force behind all of our art, science, and philosophy. Perhaps that's why the question of life's origins has captivated humans for millennia. We yearn to understand our place in the cosmos, to unravel the mystery of how we came to be. And while modern science has illuminated much of life's history, there's still so much left to discover. As we've seen, the story of life is one of incredible resilience and adaptability. From the harsh, primordial Earth to the lush diversity of the modern world, life has found a way to thrive in nearly every nook and cranny of our planet. It's a testament to the power of evolution, the creative force that molds life into endless forms most beautiful. But evolution isn't a straight path from simple to complex. It's a meandering journey, full of twists, turns, and dead ends. For every successful adaptation, there are countless failed experiments scattered in the fossil record. Life's history is marked by catastrophic extinctions that redirected its course, from the great oxygenation event that poisoned many early microbes to the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. In a way, we are all survivors, the products of a 4 billion year unbroken chain of life. Every one of our ancestors, from the earliest bacteria to the first humans, faced challenges and beat the odds. We carry their legacy in every cell of our bodies, in the intricate molecular machinery that makes life possible. And still, the story of life continues to unfold. Even now, in the hidden corners of the world, evolution is weaving its magic. Bacteria swap genes in a global network of microbial information exchange. Viruses hijack cells to reproduce, blurring the line between life and non-life. And in labs around the world, scientists are tinkering with the basic building blocks of life, creating new forms never before seen in nature. As we contemplate the future of life on Earth and beyond, it's impossible not to feel a sense of awe and responsibility. We are the first species capable of shaping its own evolution, of directing the future course of life. Will we use this power wisely, finding ways to live in harmony with the intricate web of life that sustains us? Or will we, like so many dominant species before us, sow the seeds of our own demise? These are the questions that will define the next chapter of life's story. And while the answers are uncertain, one thing is clear. The tale of life is far from over. As long as there is a single microbe clinging to existence in some dark crevice, life will find a way to carry on. So as we drift off to sleep, let us dream of the endless forms life may yet take on this world and others. May we find comfort in our connection to the vast, ever-unfolding story of life in the cosmos. And may we awaken with renewed appreciation for the fragile, fleeting beauty of life in all its diversity. This brings us to the end of our journey through the history and science of life's origins. If you've enjoyed exploring these deep questions with us, consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We'll be here, weaving more tales of science and wonder to transport you to the very edges of human knowledge. Until next time, sweet dreams.